Ooh.
You hit that though. Do it again. I'm just like, you know, people ask you to do it again. It's like,
Do it again. That boy good.
Be singing by accident.
I'll be sure to tune that later. We live, baby.
Live and direct.
in full effect.
Oh, yeah, brother.
What's up, y'all? Don the Blaptist here, 1/3 of the Watch Me Develop podcast.
Fractions.
Sitting with the other 2/3 of the Watch Me Develop podcast.
That's
to the
a
left,
whole.
To the left of me,
The ad-libs.
the left, I got none other than Barber Extraordinaire, the Barber of the Bay, Susoon City's finest inventor, the Mr. Ergo Dog himself,
Too kind, too kind.
Stephen Joshua Bonds.
My brother, I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you. I be juiced up after you be introducing me.
And then to the right of me,
Derecha.
I got my young brother from another mother,
In español.
hermano, Juan Carnicero, Junior,
Sí, oh. Is it junior or menor?
Junior, Menor,
I don't know. We'll
I
find
don't
out
know.
later.
You don't know say? John Butcher Jr.
I'm going to figure out how to say what's happening, baby, in Spanish. Just wait. Next episode. Just hold on to it.
¿Qué pasó, baby?
I like that.
¿Qué paso, baby?
It's still smooth, too.
Yeah. Nah, man, but we here, man. We back in the building, man. Another episode for you guys. And, man, we appreciate y'all rocking with us, man.
Oh, yeah, brother.
I guess the world has changed so much since the last time we was here. It is now officially fall, y'all.
It's still 80 degrees. Why is it 80 degrees in October?
Bruh.
It's like it's still hot, but the nights are definitely cooling off.
Yeah,
though.
definitely, for sure.
On my way to the gym this morning, I didn't wear a hoodie, and it was a mistake.
Exactly. Exactly.
The nipples.
Nippy.
How is that going? What time you be going?
It varies. Anywhere between, not as consistent as Donald, but I'll go anywhere between like 8 and 10.
8 and 10.
And I'll work out for about an hour and a half, hour and 45. Because I try my best to do my cardio.
Yeah.
But then worst comes to worst, if I got a busy morning, I'll just go at night. Because it's 24 hours, so that's what's pretty cool.
Dang, that's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. 24 hours ain't even 24 hours no more. So that's clutch.
It low-key's coming back like Chuck E. Cheese, though.
Is it?
Yeah.
They're adding more hours onto it or just more
Not even that, but I've been seeing more people like going back to 24-hour fitness again.
Oh, dope.
I think it's like more in the Bay.
Bro, they
though.
need to bring one back here to our area.
Yeah.
I heard they
It's
sold
ridiculous.
all the equipment.
Man,
We should have got some of that.
yeah, for sure.
Some of that equipment.
Right, bro.
Equipment. All right, man. So what else is new going on in the world, man? That since the last time we was here.
And my dad's home. My dad is home.
Bruh.
Man for that.
Facts.
So it's low key surreal, man. Like I caught myself last Tuesday, which is generally like my big admin day work day.
Mm-hmm.
I went over there to go drop something off, and I ended up there for the rest of the day. Like, man, I miss my parents, bro.
Yeah.
So it was cool. It was cool to be able to like kick it with them and just chop it up. And we all lost track of time because before I knew it was like 8 o'clock, time to go home, kind of thing. Dang. And mind you, I got there like at I don't know, like 1.
Wow.
So,
Y'all had a lot to catch up on too, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, of course we've been staying in contact, but just a face-to-face connection and them being at home, it's been cool.
Awesome, man. That's dope. Just a living, walking, breathing miracle.
1, 2, 3, 4. I can't even count them all. Shouts out to my daughter.
What's that? Should be singing that?
Million Little Miracles by who was it? Elevation in Maverick City.
A Million Little Miracles. All
Yeah.
right. Noted. Noted.
For sure.
I'm like, I kind of feel myself holding back because I definitely some stuff has changed. A lot of stuff is still old, but it's just like resurfacing, being brought back to the surface.
Mm-hmm.
Can I go?
Go.
All right. I be needing permission.
Tell me when to go. Tell me when to go.
Yo, all right. So, hot button topic. I'm sure it's trending everywhere, and I feel like his name is like Voldemort. I'm trying not to say it, but it just keeps coming up, and I'm not gonna lie. I'm super fascinated. This Jeffrey Dahmer series. Have y'all watched it? Have you watched any of the interviews? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Bruh, so one thing I have over both of you in this room,
Time?
I was alive and remember when dude was arrested on television. I seen it. Remember?
That's low-key scary.
Yeah.
Not the time, just the...
No, it was scary back then. Like, just like, bruh, really? Like, I mean, just straight. It was something like out of a horror movie. Like, it was just crazy. But it was like real life, and it was like, dang. There was really a dude out there that was like that. And yeah, the story, when you go down the rabbit hole of that story, it's just like, it's crazy, and it shows you, it shows you how broken a lot of things are. Like, you know, people will say that the system is broken, but other people will say that the system does exactly what it's designed to do. Mm-hmm. And I say it's a happy medium or combination of both. Because it was a whole lot of stuff to that story, you know, more than we got time to go all the way through.
right.
So help me out. I mean, besides the fact that he was serious, was he a cannibal? Or
Yes,
no?
he was a cannibal.
Yeah.
Got you. Okay, that's all I need to know.
Yeah.
Because for me personally, it seems to me, I don't know if it's just the masses or Hollywood that is just like fascinated by like gore and murder.
Yeah.
But like when it comes to like the crime dramas in that respect, like the serial killer stuff, that doesn't interest me as much. Mm-hmm. So it's like I don't like watching what's the show? Law and Order. I don't like watching Law and Order because it's too real to me. Because it's just like this isn't entertaining to me. Me watching about SVU girls getting raped, all this stuff. That sends me to another place.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But definitely, you know, being on TikTok, Instagram, of course, because it's become a show. I've been seeing the same scene over and over again.
They might flag us because you used that word.
What?
Because you used the R word.
What?
They might flag us.
Well, we'll
'cause you
see.
said,
Which R word?
We'll see.
You just
say it again. I'll bleep it out.
No.
You acting like I can't edit it out.
aped.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Sexually
Yeah.
abused.
Yeah, violated. Yeah, just keep it.
Oh, okay.
Keep it
it
PG.
PG. Oh, I apologize.
Come on, man.
Well, the person that had been,
Violated. Yeah.
violated.
Mhm.
Yeah, man. I don't understand why that. I understand you have to use real events and these things happen, but at the same time, I don't know why it has to be a reoccurring segment on a TV show. But that's just me.
So, like watching it, first off, I didn't watch the series. I have a very, very vivid imagination. I'm a dreamer. I dream nightly. I remember my dreams. Sometimes I document my dreams. I didn't even watch the series because of that, but then I watched some of the actual interviews and woke up 4 times that night like, bruh, shake this off. You know what I'm saying? Shake this off. But I think there's other aspects about it. To me, that's like, how does someone come to that point? How was someone brought to that point? Like, what is what combusts to make that type of person?
So let me put this out there, and this is a flip side, which a lot of people probably aren't aware of because they don't talk about it, and nor does it really even entered into the mind or the heart of man to really understand this. But there is an interview in which Jeffrey Dahmer, after having been apprehended and imprisoned, professes to have given his life to the Lord.
I saw that one too.
So the thing about it is that in that interview when he's talking about it, he kind of alludes to the fact of what brought him to that place.
Yeah,
and the fact of like, to be honest with you, and people gonna be probably mad about what it is, but a lot of it is not too far from where society is what society is deeming acceptable as far as religious perspectives and thoughts, ways of thinking are, but like this secular, humanistic, Darwinistic, evolutionist type of, these philosophies that people develop, where that it completely eliminates the whole imago Dei of man, right? Man being made in the image of God. And being the fact that if you take that away, the dignity away from man, and the fact that he was created in God's image, you're not going to honor him as God, especially if you don't honor God in the first place, right? So it's going to be nothing. Life's not going to mean anything to you.
And even just to go in for the people who didn't see that segment, essentially he said he was under the impression that he just came from the slime. You feel me? Like evolutionary type theory, and that was his belief. And he didn't believe that there was a God out there, and because of that, he didn't feel like he had to be that he was accountable to anyone, and that he had to monitor what he did because there was no one to be held accountable to. And that perspective there was like, I mean, it was very eye-opening, to hear that, because essentially where someone can go when they truly don't believe that there's anything out there, Not to say that that's the same for everyone. I'm sure there were other factors, but that key element was very interesting to actually hear him say that, Yeah. That was crazy. And then another aspect of it that it has me thinking about, of course, is like, man, there's all types of people out here in this world, and what things can I do at home, to guard my children, or at least arm them to stay away from certain, environments, or to notice or to discern certain things when they come in the presence of a predator, just in general, and that's something that's had me thinking heavily about as well.
You just talking about just in raising kids, your kids, period?
I'm talking about raising kids, period. We could pull away from that, even in the sense of, in Sacramento, there was a whole bunch of shootings going on recently within the last few months, or even in Oakland or whatever. Right. And, I think about what like club life was for me, in general, and how I know there's nothing for me at the club no more. But thinking about what is there, you up late at night, it's alcohol there, you feel me? It's drugs there, and it's people that go there and they don't have the best intentions, So I don't play certain games because there's prizes there that I don't want. There's certain things going on there that I don't want. So I keep myself out of those types of situations. But it took other experiences and seeing a few clubs get shot at that I just left for me to actually have the wisdom now to like, nah, I don't need to be there at that time. Or even, so certain situations like that, man, that really got me thinking, okay, what game can I give my kids? What lessons can I give them so that they don't have to earn their stripes on their own? You know what I mean?
What's crazy is like, I don't know if y'all seen like the social media posts where it was actually like more of like a Latino kind of directed post, but it was like a video of like a Latino girl, and she goes up to her friend and said, "Hey, my mom says I can't stay at your house because she says you have brothers and you never know." Yeah. It's just like one of those things where it's like,
I saw that one.
You saw that one?
Yeah.
So basically what I'm trying to say is, I remember my mom was telling me, she said, you know why I didn't let you stay at anybody's house, right? I was like, I never understood. I had friends, a bunch of friends that lived just on the block. Like, how come I couldn't stay at their house? She's like, because I don't know their parents are. I don't know their parents. And it's not that, they're not necessarily good people, but even the people that seem good on the surface could be having like some crazy intentions.
For sure.
Like you look back at the scene of the Jeffrey Dahmer show, they keep playing that one scene where the I think it's Niecy Nash is in the show, right?
Yeah.
She confronts him. He's like, "What's that smell?" And he's like, "Oh, it's that bad meat that I had." But she's like, "But you threw out bad meat last week," and like she's just like starting to realize like this dude is really like demented and twisted. And mind you, I haven't seen the show, but it's just like having those safe boundaries, especially for your kids or even you as a person, like hey, I'm not going to go down this road because this could happen. Or I'm not going to go down that road because, or I'm not going to allow my kids to stay at this anybody's house because, hey, just in case for a certain situation like that. And I don't think it's necessarily a place of fear, like there's a monster around every corner, but at the same time, it's like, nah, I want to keep my kid in the position so that they don't have to go through anything like that.
Yeah. And when I think about it, like really what it had me thinking of is it just really made me want to step up my role as the covering. You know what I mean? We spoke about being a covering so many times on various episodes throughout here. And it's like, man, I want to be that strong man that does not let whatever inside my house. You know what I mean? I want to stand guard, and I want to make sure that my kids, like I said, man, I want them to be armed. I want them to have the discernment just because of the type of people that they are around that are vetted, for them to get familiar with knowing what love actually feels like, not something playing off as something, but really it's a wolf in sheep's clothing. You know what I mean? I want them to be able to know the difference by the company that we keep, and then also the values that we instill inside the house.
What's been your experience, Donald? Because obviously you have years time on us, but like, what has been your experience of like having to, guard your kids from certain things that they might not understand?
Man, I mean, it all happens. So it's gonna be funny because I don't want to get in trouble. But it's funny that you say that because recently, so like 75% of my kids are in high school now, right? You just said that. 75% of my kids are in high school. So my three youngest are all going to school together.
Yeah.
And one of the big things that, of course, comes up is like the dating situation. Can we date and all that kind of stuff? And the answer is a resounding no. Okay, and that's for my son as well as my daughters, right? I'm just as concerned with who my son ends up with as who ends up with my daughters as well, right? And so what's funny about that is along with that came the whole thing of, all of them have phones, they have devices. As you know, devices bring about access to
Vices.
Excess,
Devices
right?
bring devices.
Right. And so my thing was like, okay, y'all aren't supposed to be talking to people of the opposite sex. And so what ends up happening is one of my daughters, this wasn't in defiance. It was something that, their kids communicate through apps. They find other ways to do so. So they're communicating through apps. Right. So she's communicating with a young man on an app. It's just friendly, innocent thing, right? And she has her boundary set to where she's like, okay, we're friends. We ain't talking. But apparently somehow, rumors get started and stuff like that, and then it evolves into this whole monster. You guys have been in school. You remember how it goes. Something that is nothing gets turned into something huge, and it's a lie, and it starts spreading. She's like, oh, okay. Well, since you were the only one that knew that we had this conversation, that we are not talking, don't talk to me at all anymore. Basically, she just completely was like, yeah, we're done. Because you weren't even, you showed me that you weren't even mature enough to be able to dead this whole situation, you know what I'm saying, and let it spread into something that it wasn't. And so what's funny about it is we came and sat down as a family and we had a family meeting, and I brought up to them, I said, hey, I heard about the situation. I heard how you handled it. Very proud of you. Glad that you were able to, set the record straight and set things straight. I said, I also heard that your brother was pretty upset by the whole ordeal, and he told you and told you and your sister that that's why he doesn't want you talking to dudes, right? Dudes at school, because they go and do stuff like that. And I said, that's very funny that it's coming from him, because that's been coming from me and your mother this whole time. And this is precisely the reason why we tell you that this is why y'all shouldn't be talking to these other individuals. Because you have to understand that the way that we raise you and the way that we train you, other people don't have those standards in their home. So you're not going out, even though you may meet somebody who's initially nice, you know what I'm saying, or they seem like their intentions are good and well and everything, but morally, they're watered down, they're diluted, they don't have the same standards that you have. And therefore you're gonna end up being disappointed. Now, I'm not saying this in the sense of like you'll never find anybody. No, it's not like that. It's just a matter of fact of understanding like you guys are at an advantage as far as maturity is concerned when it comes to the way that you display boundaries, decision making, all that kind of stuff. And so our big thing from the jump was always to teach them to have boundaries. Like, not everybody's your friend, right? There are levels to relationship. Some people that are close to you are your friends, right? Then there's other people that you're cordial with that are nice, that you see, that you will interact with, and those are your acquaintances, right? And then you have just pretty much everybody else. But we were just really big on boundaries. One of the greatest boundaries that was set that I liked was when Ivy, our oldest, was in martial arts. He was taking martial arts, and they were like a very like kind of a familial environment. They were really big on like, you know, relationship and everything. And so his instructor told them, he says, you know, when you see us out in public, when you see us like at the store or something like that, make sure, don't act like you don't know us. Don't act like you don't see us. Make sure that you greet us in their way of greeting, you know, greeting their instructors and stuff like that, and say hello. But also at the same time, don't ever leave and go anywhere with us just because you know us.
Right.
If we have not come over to your house and eaten at your house at least 3 times, then we are still a stranger. And I was like, man, that's a dope way of like really instilling in kids the fact of being able to set boundaries and be able to understand safety.
Yeah, you know, it's funny about that. The other day we got a knock on the door, right? Soul and Zion, they go to the blinds. They peeking through the blinds. Get over here. Get over here. Don't go looking through the blinds. You know what I mean? But somebody knocked on the door, Daddy, and they're loud. You know, it's probably just a door knocker, you know, coming to sell whatever he had to sell. It could have been solar roofing, who knows. It was somebody at the door, Daddy. And I was like, okay, just because somebody's at the door doesn't mean that we have to answer it. We didn't invite them over. They didn't call to see if we were available. Just because they knocked doesn't mean that we have to open, you know, and setting those types of boundaries, you know, that type of clear communication, like you said, will put our kids ahead.
Yeah.
But I guess a question I have, because like JR said, man, you got skin in the game. I mean, we're young fathers, and JR, also feel free to chime in on this. I know that there's certain things that literally, you know, no pun intended, will just be brought to our doorstep. You know what I mean? Simply because we're living in the world. I mean, just plainly put, we're living in the world, so some things will be brought to our doorstep. And in this season, right now, you know, coming up this fall, you know, it's Halloween season, right? And I'm trying to teach Soul to be able to discern, and she's just 4. She's not even 5 years old yet, but I want her to know, like, when you're watching something that is too much for you, you know what I mean, to turn it off. Now, granted, I have to also be there to monitor certain things, but some shows that we've already vetted, it's like there's an episode where, all right, this was the agenda for that episode. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So I guess my question is, how do we parent and protect our children in a way that's like not fear-based or fear-driven? Because I also don't want to instill fear. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't want to instill fear and tell you to, oh, no, stay away. Like, I do want you to stay away. I do want you to be able to acknowledge what's bad, but I also don't want to, you know?
It's like you don't want to raise Bubble Boy.
Yeah.
In the sense of like, yeah, you taught him all the right stuff, but now he's afraid of everything kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm with you on that because Mariah has gotten to the point now where she gets up at 7 o'clock every day. She doesn't have to be to school till like 11:50, dude. But anyways, besides the point.
Right.
She gets up at 7 every day, and she has a show that she likes to watch on YouTube. It's called Ryan's World. So he does Ryan's World, Ryan's Toy Review, Kaji Family. The only reason why I'm saying all this is because, like you were saying, you've vetted what they've been watching.
Yeah.
Same way.
Yeah.
What I found to be kind of like a W for our family is the fact that now she's gotten to the point where I'm not trying to tell her, be afraid of everything. Like, don't watch that, don't watch that. It's not that I'm trying to be friends with her or trying to make her, whatever. But I think it's a W for us when she says, Daddy, is this okay for me to watch? Because now it becomes, I trust you enough to know what's best for me in this situation.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, and I appreciate that. And like you said, our kids are only 4 and 2, but soon to be 2.
Yeah.
The fact that she does that, and then not only does she do that, but things that we teach her, because she's a busybody, but it's a good thing too. She teaches her brother.
Yeah.
Like, hey, John, we're not allowed to do this. We don't do this.
Yeah.
And so I think that, instilling those values and instilling not, and this has rung through my head for years. Brother Carlos had taught a Bible study years ago talking about like raising your kids. He's like, you don't want to raise your kids out of fear, but you want to empower them to make the right decisions. And so one of the things that have been ringing true to me is just like equipping and empowering, our kids to do what they need to do. That is, man, and we can get a little deeper later, but of course I want to hear from Donald. It's like one of the big conversations for me has been sex and gender.
Yeah.
I'm already having that conversation with my 4-year-old.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Sad. That's all I can say about it. I mean, it's sad. Like, you know what I mean? It's that you have to have all that explanation and everything with it. It is what it is, man.
Definitely Holy Spirit guided conversations.
Yeah.
No, for sure. Were you looking at wife looking at you and you looking at wife like, you got this? Like, okay. And, and like you said, we got to be on point, because even with Soul, I'm being intentional about just wrote shows that are geared towards kids, but there is a heightened sense of romance in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why is this so romantic? You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be all of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, can it just be kids? Can it just be a kids show?
But that's the thing. It's something that you have to realize, and it was funny because we were in a conversation with Dr. John about it, and you do have to really be cognizant and discerning when it comes to the stuff that they're watching, because a lot of these kids shows, like when you think about a lot of the Disney movies, right? A lot of Disney movies, there's subconsciously there's a lot of tension between the parent and child dynamic.
Yeah.
When you look at a lot of the stories either start with a child who has parents who have died, or a child whose parents end up dying, and they basically are able to just go off and let their life be an adventure, and somehow it just haphazardly comes to this great end. You know what I'm saying? And it kind of conditions our kids to like disregard the parental figure. You know what I'm saying? You look at let's look at Lion King, for instance. Simba is made to believe that it's his fault that his dad dies, right? And you have the villain of the story who comes in as the accuser and tells him, basically puts this condemnation on him and to run far, far away, right? And so there's always like, rather than his natural instinct probably, which would have been to go to his mother now, right? It's the pushing away from the parents, right? And so there's always this dynamic. And then, of course, the story, like I said, haphazardly comes back around to where things are made right and everything. But it's like you got Tarzan, same thing. You get Cinderella, like what happened to her dad? She's left raised by this woman who's not even her mother, right? You know what I'm saying? You got all these different characters that are staples that have been made to be staples in a child's life, and this is what gives them their sense of dreaming and wonder of, you know, for their future and for what life holds for them. Ariel completely, you know, rebelling against her father. Where was her mother? We only know who her mother was.
Yeah.
Right. So there's all these things. So there's that teenage rebellion, father-daughter dynamic. You know what I'm saying? There's all these narratives that keep going. Goofy movie. Let's go. I don't know if you guys remember the Goofy movie, but the same thing. Like, all Goofy wanted to do was just spend time with his son, but his son was like, "Nah, I'm cool." You know what I'm saying? So there's always this dynamic that's being this narrative that keeps coming up again, as far as like, oh, you know, the parents are just in the way, right? And so I believe it kind of subconsciously brings about this resentment towards the authority of a parent, and basically kind of usurps your authority, because here it is, it's something that's so entertaining for your child, and you sit them in front of it, and, you know, basically you're almost setting up your own undoing by doing so. And so I honestly believe that if we do what Scripture tells us to, which is to meditate on the law day and night, sit down with your children and talk about it.
Right.
Post it on the doorpost, put it up where they can see it, tie it around their neck, right? These are the things that we can do or these are the things that we're not doing that are causing our undoing. And so,
wow.
I think that definitely becomes a thing. I always tease Raquel and Jackie Tolbert, you know, because their parents, they got teenagers, they got kids and everything, and every time like something like questionable comes up, of like, oh, that's demonic, and like I'll joke with them about it, right? Because like they're those moms. Yeah. But then at the same time, I want to ask you guys this, because I know for me, I know a lot of our Christian brother and sister and get really offended at some of the things that like a Netflix will do or a Disney will do or whatever. But for me personally, my expectation for somebody that doesn't know God is for them to act like they don't know God or that they don't honor God.
right.
And at the same time, I also realize as a father and as a man of God in a community that it is not Disney nor Netflix's responsibility in raising my children. At the same time, though, like Donald was just saying, I absolutely believe that it's important what we meditate on. If we're constantly, like, I have Disney Plus, by the way. There are some OG Disney movies that, hey, sometimes I'll sit with my kids and we'll talk about it and we'll laugh and we'll do whatever. But at the same time, I realize, hey, this is just make believe. This is just entertainment. Let me tell you about the truth. Like, yeah, this is what they've represented, but at the same time, it's like this is what we hold on to, and these are the values that I want to show them. Because I think, especially raising Christian kids, you know, because a lot of times you hear about it, you know, a lot of like major entertainers or whatever grew up in the church or grew up with a Christian background, but then all of a sudden they act like they don't know God at all. As a Christian parent, I want to give my kid every tool possible that they need to do life on their own. And one of the things that I've come to terms with, and this will sound crazy, and please correct me if I'm tripping, but it's just like, my hope is that my children choose Jesus. My responsibility is not their salvation. Does that make sense? It's like, I'm going to point them to Jesus in every way possible. But if they go off and they grow up and they don't choose God, then I've done everything that I possibly can do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think that comes back to what you were talking about. I remember that Bible study with Brother Carlos in the old build.
Yeah.
But just empowering our children, you know, because and I think that's really the fine line, you know, that I'm seeing right now. Like, man, how can I monitor her while she grows this ability to make her own decisions, but wise decisions, like in a controlled environment, right? Yeah. Because she's still in the house, in the home. She's not just out making decisions all on her own. She's not an adult, so she can't do that yet. Yeah. But how do I empower her to make those decisions while she's having real life experiences, to be able to like pause that moment, you know, on the TV show of her life and say, let's talk about this right now, you know? And I think that is, I mean, that's where parenting comes into play, you know?
I think one of the concepts that we have to realize is what is the outcome that we're looking for in raising our children.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, are we trying to create more surface Christians, or are we trying to create more like real followers and believers?
Mm-hmm.
What is a surface Christian? Like, I mean, it's almost an oxymoron. Like,
And this is
you
what
you either saved or you not.
But here's what becomes the thing: is I think what we don't take into consideration being in California is the fact that we have whole other parts of the countries where the culture and the tradition is to go to church, right? Mm-hmm. We're from an African American culture. Of course, a lot of us have gone to church. Mm-hmm. But people in the Bible Belt, white, black, whatever, indifferent, they all go to church. And yet you probably have more people in the Bible Belt that go to church that aren't really followers. Mm-hmm. And that's what I mean by that. He's like, okay, you're Christian by culture, but you're not Christian in your heart. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, like, for instance, like I have Filipino friends that are Catholic by tradition, but they don't really live a Catholic or a Christian life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's more so a label than anything, right? Like
it's more so, well, I'm expected to do this, so I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that and I use the term surface level Christian, meaning like I know how to go through the motions, but I don't know the intimacy of relationship with God. Mm-hmm. And so it's just like, I don't want my kids to know how to act Christian in public, but act crazy in private.
Right.
And that kind of, for me, kind of shows, for me and my experience, especially in our family, is like, I want my kids to see my interaction. Of course, there's some boundaries that we need to have with my interactions with my wife, but I want them to see me be affectionate with my wife. I want them to see me and her argue. I want them to see that, hey, there are certain things that we don't watch.
Yeah.
Because mommy and daddy, especially as pastors in the church, aren't going to be super saved and sanctified in public, but doing whatever in private or in the home. Mm-hmm. Because I think that's what ultimately shapes our kids is, are they being the same people everywhere and not just in a place where they're seen? Do they have real integrity? And I think integrity is one of those building blocks into shaping and raising our children.